Hello and welcome to the TCF Morning Show. It is Thursday, December 10th, and this morning I am joined by Matt Schoolfield at schools_01 and Boomy at BoomyTCF on Twitter. I am Zach Lilia at ZLilia TCF. The main page is at typical_Chicago. This morning we'll be talking about the White Sox. I wouldn't say they lost McCann. But they lose him to free agency. I think he's going to be signing with the Mets.
Yep, that's what it sounds
like. A 4-year deal with them. Was a good player for them last year. We'll have our NFL picks for Week 14. Coach K had some comments about the coronavirus that he definitely would not have had if his team had not already lost 2 games. So I'm ready to get into that with North Carolina fan Matt Schofield. And then we have our college football playoff update, some games going on this weekend that'll impact that. Also, some news that came down from the Big Ten that makes, I know, Maddie not very happy. Then we have an NHL return date and Boomys Wacky Web Story to end the show. If you want to follow the Instagram, Facebook, type in Typical Chicago Fans. Follow us on there. Go over to the YouTube page, type in Typical Chicago Fans, subscribe to the YouTube page. Morning shows, podcasts, interviews are all on there. And then we have a food review that will be coming very soon. We will be, me and Boomy will be eating some cookies. So we're very excited about that. I am finally healed up from the wisdom teeth, so we'll get into that. And if you want to, wherever you get your podcast from, type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. If it's Apple, please subscribe, rate, and review. Anywhere else, just like I said, type in Typical Chicago Fans. You'll find us on there. Shout out to 26shirts.com Chicago. Use the promo code Typical Chicago Fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase. I got their shirt on tonight. It's the name of not all the backups, but a lot of the former QBs for the Bears, which have been a lot. So like I said, type in Typical Chicago Fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase at 26shirts.com Chicago. Boys, how are we doing on this Thursday? Like I said, we took the first few days off, so it's almost like we actually had to work those first few days. But in the mind of the show, we are almost done with the week, so it's almost like we had like a little bit of a vacation there. But boys, how are we doing?
Doing well, man. We're on the downslide of the week, so that's
kind of what I said in a very long form.
We've made through, with not having the show, kind of bottling up, our brains for a couple days and no podcast last weekend. It's good to be back in a routine, having a place to rant a little bit, and just kind of feels good to be back. But weekend is right around the corner.
Yeah,
I'm
Maddie,
better.
how you
I'm
doing?
not coming up. I'm better than yesterday. I'm not coming off a Carolina loss. Shout out me.
Finally.
Shout out me for not being a goddamn loser today for the first time in a while, because all my teams all my teams do is lose right now. So, hey.
See, Maddie, I finally booked a show for when the Tar Heels are not going to lose a game in a heartbreaking
We're going to
fashion.
have to do the rest of our schedule for the rest of the basketball season. Carolina games.
Get Gamer and Pigoy and get Nick Gons lined up if we need to, and Mitch, get them all lined up in a good case.
What happened, boys? What happened? We need somebody from the
COVID schedule gets
got to have the reliever ready.
Carolina's got to stack up 4 games in a week, at some point.
What happened to Maddie? North Carolina
He
lost
just disappeared. Yeah. The Cole Anthony season strikes again.
Understandable, though. But let's get into our first subject of the morning. The White Sox lose McCann. It's a tough loss. You would like to have him back. Like I said, it really started to, I don't know, maybe the leadership was there. I thought that he was a good player last year for him. But he's going to the Mets for 4 years. The money has not been said. Do you think that this is a tough one for them to lose, or do you think that they'll be able to find somebody to replace him?
I'm not 100% sure on this because I'm not sure if Grandal is coming back. I don't know if you guys know, but obviously you could have one of those two. Obviously, Grandal
signed a long-term deal. So
Okay.
he's there for like 4 seasons total.
But it is really nice with, obviously the Cubs have seen different pitchers having, maybe a different guy to catch or different arms out of the bullpen. And especially in the American League where you have the DH, you could, you have that freedom. And losing McCann, who's, kind of come up and, done his thing pretty well for the White Sox, it definitely doesn't help their cause because even if they find someone, I'm not sure they're going to be able to compare to what McCann's been able to give them. But, yeah, I don't think it's a good loss for them.
No,
I think the hope long term is that Zach Collins is the answer. Catcher. He's been the prospect that they've been talking about for years behind the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he's a great hitter. I think it sounds like he still needs some work actually calling games and the defensive side of the position. But well, it sounds like the sky's the limit for him as a hitter. So you always find a place in the lineup for a hitter. So you got Grandal, who's going to be your everyday catcher, you would assume. And I think kind of seems like most people weren't too fond of him last year, at least for what they expected from him in terms of what the benefit on the pitching staff and things like that. So McCann's a big loss, a big pickup for the Mets, and they it's a big upgrade for them going from Wilson Ramos to McCann. So it's a good move, I think, for the Mets big time. I think Cohen making a big splash already.
I think the White Sox will make a move that will fill the spot, but like you said, it's still a tough loss. And the White Sox in the Mets are getting a good player there. So
yeah. Mets are building something nice with that new ownership.
Yeah, they're probably going to spend some money.
Sounds like McCann's a really good dude too, like in terms of leadership
that's
role.
I think
you never have
the
enough
biggest
guys
parts
like
too of losing them is you never want to lose a leader. Like you said, catchers always seem like they come into the leadership, like you said with David Ross with that Cubs team. You don't want to lose somebody that was there last year when they were fighting through the playoffs. But like I said, the White Sox will move on from that. We will move on to our NFL picks, Week 14. Boomy, give us the records. What?
Man, you got that was one of your best. We've been doing the show for almost 3 years. That might be your best transition I've ever heard out of you, Zach. That was impeccable. The Mets are going to transition into that, just like we're going to transition into the NFL picks. That was absolutely.
Thank you.
I am sitting in first place at 45, 32, and 2. Matt, you are at 39, 38, and 1. Zach is at 36, 41, and 2.
So,
all right.
I'll be
not dead
yet.
It's not
over yet for Maddie. I'm pretty much done.
You're not done yet. If Boomy has a tank week,
yeah,
we can both get right back in it.
Absolutely,
and Mr. Loudmouth's due for a big tank week here soon.
Looking at the board today when we decided we were doing the pick show tonight, I don't like the board. I think the lines are too damn close, but I loved the board last week and I went 4-3. So we'll see, man. I'm definitely due for a bomb.
Well, I'm in last place, so I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go Rams -5 against the New England Patriots on Thursday night. I don't see this New England team playing very well against a really good defense in the Rams. So I'm going to go Rams -5. What's your smile on your face for?
Boomy?
What'd you say?
I don't have a smile. Were you talking to Boomy or me?
Boomy. Now I can't even hear him.
Okay, sorry. So when I knocked on the table, my dog thought there was someone at the door and came barreling through the house, just barking like all hell.
I was just wondering. I didn't think my pick was very funny.
No, sorry about that.
No, that was funny though. I was like, what the heck? And I hear a dog. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that was my fault. I was, it is what it is. I like New England, to be honest with you. I just think that they're starting to make that push for the playoffs, and I think it's going to be a close game. I just don't know if the Rams have enough to beat them by a full touchdown. So I think I'm just going to – every time I bet against the Patriots, I seem to not be able to find it. So I'm going to go against I'm going to go with my my betting history and not bet against the Patriots.
Not a bad idea.
it's a hard thing to do is bet against Belichick. Um, Sean McVay's doing a hell of a job this year. I think that team is really starting to pick up some steam too. And I think, like you said, New England's playing better. I think the Rams are really starting to play better. They're kind of popping up as one of the top contenders in the NFC, in my opinion. So I think I'm going to stick with Zach on this one and take lay the 5. I don't like it much higher than that. I probably won't bet it because I don't love this game, but we have to pick Thursday night, so obviously I'm gonna throw my pick. But this line's really sharp. I think this is one of those games, like you mentioned, Boomy. There's a lot of tight lines this week, it looks like, and I think this one's right off the bat is a very sharp line, in my opinion. If 5's just enough to entice you on either side and really make you think. So I'll take the Rams for the sake of our picks.
Now, I have a question for you guys. I'll give it to you guys at -5.5. When I wrote this down, it was at 6. Do I get it at 6 since I wrote it down then?
That's fine.
Okay. Just in case of push.
That's fine.
I don't know. The
I
Patriots
got 5
so
right
hard
now
to get.
at DraftKings.
I had 6 when I wrote them down at lunch this afternoon.
No, I'm just saying for our purposes, having New England or for having the Rams, shouldn't we get 5?
Yep, that's fine. I'll put you guys down for 5.
We can find a live 5 on them, and just like you had a live 6.
That works.
But let's move on to the Sunday afternoon games. I'm going to go first. I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucks -6.5 against the Vikings. This Vikings team, I don't know what it is. They're 6-6. I just don't get it. I don't. Their team is very confusing. The way that they play is very confusing. They don't like to lead in a lot of games. They like to be down.
Yeah.
They like to be down quite a bit, and then they'll come back somehow. They won this week in overtime, but I think that the Buccaneers are due for a big game here, and I think the Vikings are due for a big time loss.
Hard to argue with you there. Tampa Bay just scares me because it feels when you don't expect them to play well, then they play really well, and then when you think they're going to play in a game like with New Orleans, and then they get beat 41-3 or something. It's just they're hard to get a read on. But again, they're not playing the Saints; they're playing the Vikings, who, as you said, Zach, are one of the most unpredictable teams in football. And the Vikings rely on their lot, which Tampa Bay tends to play pretty well against. So. Be a good matchup, but I think you got the right pick there. I'm going to go
quickly with my other one because we'll just get through that a little quicker. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with the Dolphins +7 at home against the Chiefs. I might even sprinkle a little money line on that one. I think this is a game in Miami, a noon game. Maybe the Dolphins can get a big-time win here. They're 8-4. People forget that. They're 8-4. So I think maybe a little upset here.
I don't hate that at all. This is going to be a big test for both of those. I mean, if Kansas City wants to be one of the best or one of the top 2 teams in the AFC, they've got to go win this game. And, Miami's still fighting for a playoff spot. And if their backs are against the wall and, a lot of people think they're going to be in the playoffs, this game you got to come out and win and get a shot at it. They're playing well for Flores down there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think
my afternoon games.
I did not really realize that the Dolphins were 8-4. That's wild.
Yeah, the Dolphins are 8-4, and the Browns are going to the playoffs. So, or secured their first winning season since 2014 or so. What a world! 2020, man. Jumping on Matt's trend last week, and it's probably going to come back and just absolutely punch Jacksonville +7.5. I think that Tennessee is one of the 3 best teams in the AFC, but they've been hot lately. A lot of people are going to jump on that -7.5. And last week, Jacksonville is just playing in games they have no business being in. And, they even, they take Minnesota to overtime. And did they end up winning that game last week? I don't even know. I wasn't even watching that one. No, Jacksonville only had. But, I mean, and I'm not comparing Minnesota to Tennessee, but I just think Tennessee's been flying high. And Jacksonville kind of is going to take that a little personal. They played to a close game early this year. So 7.5. And then in my other noon game, in New York, who again, kind of same thing. The Giants have been getting a lot of hype lately. They're staying in. I think they're tied for first in the NFC East, if not in first place. Not that that's saying much, but a lot of people have been talking about them. They've played well lately, and I just don't know if they can continue that because they're such a mediocre football team.
I cannot argue with that, Boomy. Maddie, what are your picks for the afternoon games?
Well, my first one, I'm staying in the same game, but I'm going opposite, and it's the Giants. It's the home
You're
dog.
buying
I
into the Giants?
got them at +2, and that
They're
defense
good,
is
Boomy.
legitimate. That defense is legit. That's the Cardinals going across the country playing at noon. It's never good going west to east playing at noon. I know the Cardinals usually as an organization. I can't imagine that their history against the spread noon games East Coast is very good. I want to look into that before I really start hammering that like in a gambling sense. But +2, the Cardinals are reeling, dude. They basically, we've talked about them, and I've been riding them the last few weeks. They are done as it is. They're 6-6. They're done.
Yeah, but with the playoffs this year, they're the 7 seed right now. And if they lose this, they're going to be in the mix with Minnesota and Chicago and a couple other teams.
And the Giants are playing for a division.
Stop
The
saying
Giants are playing for a division.
The Bears are not in the mix.
They're in the hunt.
I don't care.
The Giants are playing for a division, dude, and
Yeah.
they're playing for their coach. Joe Judge has that team absolutely just running through a wall for him. And you know what? Give me the home dog +2. Their defense is really, really good. It is really good. So going with the Giants +2 there, and then my other noon game. This noon slate sucks. By the way, it's horrible.
Not very good.
I wanted to chime in on that Miami bet that you threw out, Zach. I'm not a big fan of that line, but anytime you can get an 8-4 team at +280 on the money line at home, another team
in Miami too.
In Miami, teams always play like shit in Miami in November and December. They always travel down there and play like shit. One good team does every year. You know what? I'm with you there. I'm riding you. I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm +7 there.
Let's go.
And I'm going to do a little money line sprinkle as well.
A little sprinkle on the money line. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then for my 3:00 Sunday game, wow, there's not a really good game.
No, there really isn't.
I'm gonna go Raiders. Raiders +3. Raiders +3.
How bad is that Falcons Chargers game?
Oh,
that is a horrible.
Well, even
game.
the Jets Seahawks game, like that shouldn't be a good game.
True.
And then the Green Bay Lions, that's not going to be a good game.
Yeah, 8.5 is a lot.
I'm going to go with Raiders +3 at home against the Colts.
I thought about that one too.
I thought about that one too. That's scary. I don't know.
I'm going to go New Orleans -7. New Orleans is kind of the wagon right now. Philadelphia is testing out a new quarterback. Yeah, he had a good second half against Green Bay. Can he continue to do that against New Orleans? I don't.
There's only one wagon in football, and it's the Buffalo Bills. So just so you know.
Okay.
Which we'll get to that very shortly.
Yes.
Maddie?
Zach, I gotta do it again. I gotta ride with you again
today.
Yeah, I love that. I love that line. It feels like it feels so good. It's trappy, like taking the Raiders as a home dog against the Colts. I don't think the Colts are a very good team personally. I think they're all right. I mean,
they're perfectly average.
There are a lot of 3:00 games.
I think that's exactly what Vegas is. You know, they did go, and damn near lose to the Jets, but they also beat the Chiefs. So I don't know. 3 points, give +3 points at home. Give me the Raiders there. I'll go into the Sunday night game. I already just mentioned that. I'm a believer in Josh Allen. What he did to the 49ers.
Same. Going Bills.
That he dissected them, dude. And the Bills -2.5 at home. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers look a little vulnerable, and I think we saw that in the second half.
That's called fraud.
And Josh Allen is a far better version of what Alex Smith does. He runs a little bit. He's got a good arm. Throws, I guess he's way better arm than Alex Smith ever did. But Alex Smith was always a mobile quarterback, kind of read the defense, make the smart play, hurt you with his feet a little bit. Josh Allen's like Turbo Man with that. You know what I mean? Like he's just like he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's got a cannon for an arm, and he is playing so goddamn well.
And I know it's crazy to say about an 11-1 team that they're frauds, but like I don't know, they looked bad last week.
Totally frauds. They haven't looked good for a couple weeks, really, and that offense just doesn't seem right.
Boomy, what are you going with?
I'm going Pittsburgh plus 2.5.
This is what we need, Maddie. This is what we need to change the ways.
I don't know. I just think they're not going to drop 2 in a row. I think Buffalo. I think you guys just sip the Kool-Aid a little bit on Buffalo. They're good. Don't get me wrong. But
it's fine. They can be whatever. I still don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are very good.
Kool-Aid.
The what? Yeah,
I can see you being such a TJ Watt guy.
I love the Watt thing.
Yeah, I do.
Boomy's got a terrible towel. Boomy's got a terrible towel.
God,
I love the Watt. I just don't see Pittsburgh dropping 2 in a row, and that's kind of the reason I'm going with that. To be honest with you, it's a dumb reason, but I also think Buffalo's a little overrated. They've had their moments. They're playing well. Don't get me wrong. They're a playoff team, obviously, but we'll see what happens. It's kind of, let's see what happens. Play a team of equal or maybe that's slightly better than you on either side.
Just look what they did to that 49er defense. The 49ers defense is very good, and they went across the country. Obviously, it's into Arizona, and they were not able to stop them at all. Every time Buffalo got the ball, they just marched right down the field and scored. It was very impressive in my opinion.
And then the last game we got the Ravens, Browns, and I'm going to take the Browns +1 at home. I think that they looked good last week, and the Ravens, they won last week, but they still haven't looked good in the last few weeks. I am going with the Browns +1.
Give me the Ravens.
I don't know about this game, man. This game seems this.
That's why the spread is so close. It's a coin flip game as of right now.
It really is. This is one of those games. Like I'll give a pick here. I'll very likely bet something completely different, and might live bet it again the opposite way. It's just I don't know. This is gonna be one of those cluster games in my opinion. Browns are playing good. I'll take them. I think the Ravens got a big win, but I think they'd like to see a little more. And Baker Mayfield's going to play like he has the last couple of weeks. The Browns are going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a good team going into the playoffs.
This is a game that we could sit here and analyze every facet of it for 45 minutes, and we're still going to come to the same conclusion that we still have no idea because they're very good team.
Am I crazy for thinking Lamar Jackson just hasn't been like just quite as good? Last year.
I think defenses are just starting to figure him out a little bit.
I mean, he's such an electric player, and obviously he can just kill you in so many ways, especially with his feet. But it just felt like he was so much more dynamic in the passing game last year than he has been this year.
You are right, Maddie. Look at their record; they're 7-5, and he was in the MVP race last year. So
did he win it?
He won the MVP.
I think he won it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, still a good quarterback, and
absolutely.
What are us Bears fans to say?
I wasn't meaning it to.
To
besmirch the guy. Just meaning from what he was.
What I am
last
saying
year,
is, how does everyone still have a job for the Bears?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Because it's the Bears.
It's ridiculous.
If it was anybody else, they'd have been fired.
Absolutely ridiculous.
They fumble everything.
Awful.
They fumble everything. They fumble every firing. They fumble every hiring. They fumble every trade.
What's the point? What's the point of all? This has gone wrong. The second we lost to the Lions, it's done. The
only thing you could hope is that they haven't fired everybody is because they have to fire literally everybody. Is like Ted Phillips on down.
And so they've got to get 7 teams make the playoffs. The 7 teams making the playoffs is not good. It's annoying.
They're going to have to get a structure to run it day to day here for a couple weeks in place before they can just start offing everybody. So hopefully that's all they're doing. But
that's definitely not what they're doing.
Yeah, you're probably correct.
Well, it's hard for you guys to trust the McCaskey since they've butchered this so many times. Like the ownership is just not done their part.
single
be frustrating.
year.
Yeah.
Well,
And they want you to have.
let's move on. We're done with that. NFL picks, Week 14. Kind of ended on a sad note there. But let's move on. Coach K's comments saying that he thinks that the college basketball needs to rethink things. Jay Billis kind of said the same thing tonight. A lot of people kind of are. And I just think that he's saying it, though, because they're not very good. He was the one that said they needed to get the season going back. Like, the tournament, the March Madness needed to get back going. Like, if they were undefeated right now and they were doing well,
with every team.
If they beat Illinois by 100 last night, then he would definitely not have said that.
Yeah.
A month ago, he wanted a tournament with every Division I team. So all 356 teams or whatever it is make the tournament this year was what he proposed because it's a COVID year. Now you just want to – now you don't want to play any games? You want to go from let's get everybody together to nothing. But what changed outside? Like, the COVID numbers have been bad. I mean, if they were gonna stop it because of COVID, they would have stopped it because of COVID because – it's just bad.
Dumb.
It's not getting any better. It's obviously getting way worse. But the fact that it was bad then when you said, let's get a tournament together with every team.
Yeah. It's not dumb to talk about, like, yes, maybe they need to rethink some things. Maybe they got to look at some things, whatever. But to try and say this after you were on record saying that you wanted everything to get back going, like, come on.
Well, I mean, ultimately, they got to get these teams, especially the good programs, the teams that have a chance to make a run, they've got to get their players, and it's way harder, I think, obviously, in the football level than basketball, but they got to get their players to buy in to, maintaining the protocols and the social distancing and all that stuff. If you want to have a chance at playing your seasons and playing all these games, you guys are just going to have to buy into it. You're going to have to. And if you can't, then your teams are going to be the ones that have the problems, man. That's that simple.
Very true,
something's clearly got to change. I mean, pull up whatever app you use to follow scores. It feels like half the games listed are postponements or cancellations. Like, something obviously, but I don't know. I don't know if I have the solution, but something clearly
but
you
guess
like
doesn't?
Matt. You
Coach
said
K.
you got
Coach K doesn't have the solution.
Yeah. I agree. I think the guy does. I mean, it's not like Duke's not going to the NCAA tournament.
No, and the only reason I get annoyed with it is because, he's done this in the past.
You get annoyed with it because 3 weeks ago it's power through and let's play on.
Yeah,
all of a sudden they lost 2 games. It's you got to consider shutting her down. Like
kind of talking on both sides of his mouth.
Well, it's what he does.
Let's move on. We got college football playoff update. It's getting interesting because Ohio State has been allowed to be in the Big Ten championship game now instead of Indiana, which would have won Maddie some money.
Let's let all the murderers out because the rules can just be they can be moved whenever they need to.
I think it was comedian Jim Gaffigan who did a bit about we live in a society, we have rules. We have rules for a reason. And, this is exactly it. Like, they had rules. They built in rules for this shortened season, and then we just throw them out the window. So why the hell do we make rules? What's the point?
They built in rules for me to be able to take advantage of so I can take a little sneaky bet on Indiana. That's what they put in rules for. So keep the goddamn rules.
Seriously. It's literally like when you're young and you're playing sports against your friends and you're down 6 points and then you change the rules in the fourth quarter so that you can get in. What's the point of even doing that? Why'd they have a season then if they're not going to follow the rules? We'd all just be monkeys and trees flinging crap at each other if we had no rules.
You said that exact quote last night.
I know, and I'm still mad about it.
Let's just get Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Alabama all in one big happy family, and let's just draw it up that way.
Let them go play, and then we'll take
what I had to
the other
say.
4. And it's stupid.
I think it's the correct thing.
Oh, come on.
And I understand, if there's a lot of teams that they're probably one
Okay.
of two teams.
You want the real me? Yes. Ohio State needs to be playing. In
I was
the Big
going to
Ten
say,
title.
I mean,
Yeah.
they
Ohio
have
State
to be
needs
in.
to be in the Final Four.
Because, like, they were talking about...
I'm just pissed I had
I know.
a beautiful little purchase.
But is it
beautiful
Cincinnati
little purchase.
or something that's doing
Yeah.
really well? They're like, okay, go like this, though. Who would you take a spread on? Cincinnati or Ohio State?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just
who's
one of those
going to
things.
draw more fans too to watch the game? Like it's all about the TV
like you
dollars
said, and
too.
I understand
Well,
the whole.
what
They
happens
haven't played
when
all the
Ohio
games,
State
but
loses
they're
in the Big Ten
clearly
title
a
game?
very good team.
Then it's going to be hilarious. Yeah, it's all about dollars and cents, and that they're doing this because they want to make sure that there's eyes on the Big Ten championship, and with the hopes that they're going to let Ohio State into the Final Four. And that's what it boils down to. But I always, we always find ourselves cheering for the underdog. So it kind of feels, a little bit jaded when you get that underdog story, and then it's like, never mind.
I want to add, I don't think Ohio State's as good as they've been the last few years.
I agree.
So I think that they might be like chirping a little too much.
But there's no way Northwestern's going to beat them. Northwestern has beaten them one time since 1972. One time. It's not happening.
They've never had this. I mean, it's still a large gap, but they've never had this small of a gap in talent disparity, though, between the two teams.
But I would also say they are undefeated after having one of the weirder seasons in the Big Ten. I mean,
Justin Fields is incredible.
What I mean is, they've had games canceled and they've had to go back and play and try and stay with it. Like that's also impressive too.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm excited to see
I don't
what they
disagree.
can do.
I think if you're looking at it logistically wise and like what you want for the best product out there, like you got to put Ohio State in it. But I always cheer for the underdog. So
between Ohio State though and the sweatshirt Boomy's wearing, there's probably no other team that could throw a wrinkle in this whole damn
Florida
thing
beats
outside
Alabama.
of Florida.
They're in.
If Ohio
State
beats
loses,
Alabama,
then that's gonna
that's
make a
gonna be
mess.
fun to watch them figure
like
out.
said,
Don't worry, Florida will be looking from the outside. They'll find a way to make sure they somehow. What was that year where Alabama lost and still got in?
It'll be Florida getting in while A&M, who beat them with only one loss, is the one that's out.
Yeah, I think Alabama and Florida would both make it then.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's gonna be interesting. It's weird too because you would have thought like this year, especially like Georgia early on in the season, their defense looked so damn good, and the way they got ransacked by Florida,
that was the turning point, wasn't it?
Completely,
since that Florida game.
Completely was the turning point. Stetson Bennett, I think they probably should have went back to Daniels and realized that they should have went with their more talented quarterback instead of riding the lineage of Stetson Bennett after one decent game against a shit defense. But I don't know, man. Georgia's going to be one of those teams that's just going to recruit the hell out of everybody, and they're going to find a way to lose. It's just what they do.
It's going to be an exciting next few weeks in college football. Well, we got an NHL return date. It's somewhere in January, right? I know Matty Pucks has got to be excited.
Matty Pucks is very excited for a mid-January return. The division alignment is going to be different. We've got the all-Canadian teams in one division together. Then the rest of the Western, and including St. Louis in the West division for the makeup of the one of the other Western half. Then we got the Hawks are back with Detroit though, and so a little rekindling of the old rivalry with the Red Wings this year. So that'll be fun. Getting some games with that team. But, it's going to be interesting. Schedule's going to be crazy. Hawks, unfortunately, get to draw the Tampa Bay Lightning in their division along with the Florida Panthers. So we get Coach Quenneville there. Get the Lightning coming off the Stanley Cup. It'll be in our division this year, which won't be fun. Nashville's back in our division, so they're always a physical team to play against.
I think Coach Q should be the coach right now.
He should be. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, Stan Bowman's a goddamn fucking idiot, and that's where we're at. No, I was just gonna say like the division alignment with the all Canadian division. I think it's interesting, probably because of travel reasons. They don't have to start bouncing across borders and things like that. They can play their whole season in Canada amongst those teams. It's got just enough teams to make up their division. Going west to east is not going to be an easy feat, I don't think, but. it'll be interesting to see what happens come playoff time. I'm sure they'll centralize the playoffs like they did with the bubble and everything. So I don't know. I'll just be excited to get some hockey back. I don't think the Blackhawks are going to be very good, obviously, but a lot of other good teams in the league too to watch. So
Yeah, like you said, it'd be a perfect little time right after basketball starts back up. We'll get hockey back, so we got.
I think you might
sports
see
coming back
on their streaming packages too this year. I'm guessing because they're losing out on tickets, so they're gonna need to get some buyers on their streaming packages big time. So keep an eye out for that stuff.
Like you said, we'll have NHL, we'll have football, we'll have basketball coming up here in the next few weeks, so that'll be exciting to get more and more sports. Like you said, we were stuck with football there for a little bit, and then we got basketball back, and now we'll have NBA back, and then we'll have hockey back, so we'll be happy boys because of all the gambling we'll be able to do.
Yeah, I can't wait till hockey's back. It's fun. A lot of West Coast games.
It is
too,
fun,
so.
very fun. But Boomy, you got a wacky web story to end the show here.
I sure do, and I've had some weird ones with the monoliths the last couple of weeks, some sad ones, but this is a feel good story out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A man, Mal Osborne, won a varsity letter jacket running track at the University of Maine when he graduated in 1952. Hell of a runner back in the day for the Black Bears. And he's had this Letterman jacket since 1952, and he wears it all the time. And he still, competes in different things. I believe, like he swims and does like old man running competitions, I guess. But he lost this Letterman jacket from the University of Maine. Unfortunately, he believes he put it on top of his car, drove away, couldn't find the jacket. Typical things we all do. But obviously, he's had this thing for half a century, and so his family kind of went up on social media and posted pictures of him in it. And a lady who lives not too far from him actually reached out and said that she had found his jacket in a pile of dead leaves that she was raking up. So somehow it got blown off the road into her yard. Yeah, he must have drove it, on the car. And when he went around to turn, it went off and ended up in her yard. And she found it in a pile, had it dry clean for him. So after about 2 months of his jacket being gone, he was able to be reconnected with his, 68-year-old Letterman jacket. So a little feel-good story. That's pretty crazy.
That's very crazy.
We need more stories like that in 2020, Boomy.
And the picture, the reason I did, the picture is just absolutely adorable. This little 92-year-old man with his medals from his running competitions or swimming competitions with his Letterman jacket that's, like I said, 68 years old on. Pretty sweet picture. Good feel-good story.
I do want to circle back to the monoliths real quick. This is like an ad campaign for something,
yes,
correct?
100%.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm on the same wavelength.
It's got to be. They keep popping up in like weird random places. There's nothing else that explains it.
Perfect. That's all I needed.
Anything post-show, boys?
No. The Bears still haven't fired Matt Nagy, like you said. It hasn't happened in the last 4 minutes, which I was hoping.
Hey, real quick, I got to check something. Who was it? Boise State is playing BYU in men's basketball tonight. Boise State jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and I want to check because Boise State, they ended up winning by only 3. It got down to a nail biter. So if you're not watching college basketball now, like, what are you doing? Like, I know obviously like football nights, like Monday night and Thursday night and stuff, but like on nights there's not football. Why are people not watching college basketball? This is absurd stuff going on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
there's
some
games.
wild games.
There's some games being canceled, but there's still a lot of games being played.
Would be, but
yeah.
Like, no, but there's a lot of odd hours. There's a lot of like 3 o'clock games going on right now still, and 1 o'clock here and there, some 5 o'clock. So it's just some staggered schedules and stuff too.
Furman almost beat Cincinnati today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining me this morning, Matt Schoolfield at schools_01 and Boomy at Boomy TCF. I am Zach Lilia at Z Lilia TCF. The main page is at typical_Chicago. Instagram, Facebook. Type in typical Chicago fans. You will find us on there. Go over the YouTube page. Type in typical Chicago fans. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Then wherever you get your podcast from, if it's Apple, please subscribe, rate, and review. If it's anywhere else, just type in typical Chicago fans. You will find us on there. Go over to 26shirts.com, Chicago, and use the promo code typical Chicago fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase. Again, that's typical Chicago fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase at 26shirts.com, Chicago. Anything else, boys?
Let's have a beautiful Thursday, folks.
This has been the TCF Morning Show, Thursday, December 10th. We love you all.
Peace.